Mecca. Y'all now tuned into F.A.M.E TV.
Philly F.A.M.E. Philly F.A.M.E. Alright, how you doing? Mecca, what's going on with you first and foremost?
Hey, how are you?
Good, good. Alright, we live from Hunting Park area right now, but this definitely not the area where you from or you frequented and visited throughout your your years in the city or whatever. I was talking to you off camera, basically asking you like what part of the city you was from. You basically explained to me like you lived all over like different places in the city, and you explained to me the reason being was because you was in the system. You called yourself a system baby. So let's get into that part of your story, like growing up in the system and living different places. Explain that a little bit for the people.
So growing up, my mom was in and out of jail. My dad wasn't around. I really don't remember too much as far as like in detail, but I do know I was put in the system at 3 years old. From 3 to like 5, I lived with a woman who I call Aunt Pat. Also from there, I was in like different foster care places or placements for a period of time in my life up until probably I was like 17 years old.
Okay. So, you hear stories about these people going through the system and stuff like that, but very rarely up close and personal like this for somebody that been in it for that amount of time. So you say you went through it from 3 years old up until 17 years old. So that's pretty much damn near your whole childhood. So can you explain to the people, for people who never lived in that type of situation, who ain't too familiar, just explain a little bit of some of your experience growing up without your parents and living in the system in different foster places and stuff, like give them that little rundown.
I would say it was very difficult, challenging, lonely, especially if you were, like when I was placed in different foster families who did have other children, seeing their relationships with their children. I used to yarn at, with my mom, especially more so my mom, not really my dad, but I used to yarn at, that love and that affection that I would see, or sometimes that I would get from other foster parents. I would yarn at from my mom. I don't know, it left me like just feeling more so like weird, sad, depressed, confused. I was very confused growing up, more so with identity, really not understanding or knowing where it is that I came from, my background and all that stuff or whatever. So
Okay. So how many different families or parents would you say you had? Was it just one family the whole time, or was you with different families? Like how did that work?
So different family members at first. Sometimes it would be a consistent foster parent, throughout a certain point in time, but then I would have these issues. More so, I would say sometimes when I would come in contact with my mom, she was more like a trigger for me. So it's like when you yearn for that affection from your parent and you can't be with that parent, and you go back to people that aren't your parents, it leads you to act out or to fight.
Okay. So with all that going on, like did you have like other, like the families that you live with, they had other kids, so you had other like siblings and stuff you had to live? So what was that like for you, like living with other siblings that's not really like your blood siblings or so to speak? Like how was that?
I would say being as though when I was younger, not really understanding like what was going on, I adapted to whatever the situation was. So if it was other kids, I didn't look at it no different. I just adapted to whatever situation was thrown at me.
Okay. So with all that going on at home and stuff like that, how was you in school? Like what was school like for you?
I would say I was a nerd. I was always good at school. I was always good at school. Always, had good grades. Very likable by teachers. I would say school-wise was always good.
Okay. So you said up until 17. So what happened at that point when you turned 17?
When I turned 17, I originally wanted to enlist until the Navy. So I took the F.A.M.E test. I was in a place called Mid-Atlantic. I was discharged from there because I wanted to enlist into the Navy. The recruiter, came to me, with me to court. The judge agreed to basically let me go. So they discharged me from DHS. And then basically within the next couple of months, I was being weaned off for probation because I wanted to enlist into the Navy. But I had a conversation with a guy down City Hall, and he kind of changed my views on wanting to go into the military. So from there, I actually went to go live with my mom. And we actually lived down Southwest, where a very traumatic experience happened to me.
Okay, so something traumatic happened to you while living with your mother?
Well, more so, my mom, and I'm not trying to bash her or nothing like that or whatever, but my mom, she kicked me out. She kicked me out. When she kicked me out, she led me into the arms of a predator, basically. I was raped, gang raped.
Wow, and what age were you when this happened?
17.
You were 17 years old. So, I don't want you to really go into the situation, but I want you just to explain for people, because I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this that may have went through something similar, or, have family members that went through something like that. So, being though seeing you now, and how strong you are today and the stuff you're doing today, it's kind of hard to see that you went through something like that. So I just want you to speak on how did you, maybe you still might be going through it today, but how did you deal with it at the time, and how are you currently, able to still move on and live your life, successfully as you are?
I would say with me, at first it was hard to talk about it, but my outlet was poetry. So I used to write poems, and I used to express what I was going through in poetry. And then I ended up feeling comfortable enough to talk about it, but how I was able to let it out was by reading a poem. I read a poem, and I had a therapist. I would say really today what helps me is just by talking about it. It took me a while to talk about it because it was a very uncomfortable situation where you kind of blame yourself for certain things, or you blame other people around you for certain things or whatever. But I would say talking helped me. Talking, poetry, it all helped me.
Okay. And you said this happened when you were 17. So when you became a younger adult, far as early 20s and stuff like that, just give them a brief rundown. I don't even want to skip that far past, but after that situation, where did your life go from there as far as going into adulthood?
Well, I would say I'm very much transparent. Being, struggling more so with identity, having that happen, never hearing how beautiful you are from people that matter, it led for me to become promiscuous. So I started sleeping with a bunch of different people. More so to just fill a void that I was feeling. I'm nervous talking about it, but it was more so to just fill a void of not being wanted or not being loved. So that's from there up until early 20s. I got pregnant. I feel like once I got pregnant with my first son, that he changed my life. My son changed my life. He changed my views on a lot of different things. Because I felt like I had something more to live for other than myself. Because at one point in time, myself wasn't enough to basically live for. I struggled with, wanting to kill myself. But when I had my first son, he just basically changed my views. He made me grow up.
Okay. So now, let's fast forward today and current times, because I've been following you on the gram for a while, and I've been seeing, like we talked before we set up the interview or whatever, like I seen you start off, as a business owner, as far as like started babysitting business a while back, and now you transition from that into, your home healthcare business. And you got the office downtown. I seen that. You got I seen you got the billboard riding on the E-way. I see the billboard up and all that. So to see you come from, like the struggles that you did, as far as like not having your parents in your life early on, and then when you finally did reconnect with your mother, y'all had a situation where that led to you being kicked out, and then that situation happened to you, and then you moved past that, to be where you at now. Like that's definitely, like props to you, because a lot of people, go through stuff like that and they never get their mind together. They never, overcome that, kind of like burden them for the rest of their life. Not saying it's not supposed to, but they allow it to, not cause them to level up in life. So let's speak a little bit on, you getting into the different businesses and where you are today with your home healthcare business.
All right. Well, to talk about that, I would say, during that time of starting the babysitting stuff, I was at rock bottom, trying to figure it out. And I started that because kids has always been something that I've been very much passionate about. I love kids. I love everything about kids. So I noticed that sometimes too, when certain parents can't go to work, because some of us, like myself, I'm a single mom and I don't have that support system. So sometimes we need someone to help us out in a sense of a way. So I started that, but then I started thinking about other ways whereas though I could use more of my passion. So I actually started my home care business. I would say, just having a strong mind and not allowing for stuff in the past to play a major role in, how I move as far as like with my future. I control my future, so I chose to just change the score, change the narrative, so it's more so.
Right, okay. So go ahead, on that note, plug your social media and how people can support what you're doing and all of that.
Okay, so my business page name is Mekah _ and it's spelled MEKAH _ Homecare Agency, or is it Homecare? It might be Mekah _ Homecare, I'm sorry. And then my personal page is Mekah _ 28. If you know anyone that's looking for any type of home care, we are definitely driven by passion. We deliver passion, we offer passion. So if you know anyone that's looking for affordable care, be sure to reach out to us.
Okay. And also, before we get out of here, I want to know, or I want you to share a message, for young women out here or young girls out here that may have went through something traumatic in their life and might be scared to talk about it, might be scared to share, stuff like that. So you got any words of advice for anybody who, went through something like that?
I could say the best thing to do is never be afraid to live in your truth. You are who you are, regardless of what decisions or past decisions you may have made. You are who you are. And I do feel like even when you're feeling down, like I say, even when you're at rock bottom, the only way to go from there is up. So just never give up on what you believe in. Just be who you are.
All right. Okay, and on that note, we signing out. Philly F.A.M.E TV, Mekah's home healthcare agency. Check out, show some love. Until next time, we out here.